It's daybreak here on the Rise News. Time for the press preview, a first look at what's on the front pages. As they arrive, let's take a look at This Day, our sister publication, with its headline, 2 captains, 1 soldier in heroic deaths as Guards Brigade on routine patrol is ambushed in Buari. Let's take some riders there. Terrorists kill 3, abduct school principal, 6 others in Katsina. Law school moves call to bar to Jabi. And meanwhile, DSS issued 44 security reports before Kuje's attack. And just above that, across Nigeria, the Nigeria Labour Congress protests ASUU's continued strike action, gives government ultimatum as Falana leads demonstration. That was in Lagos. And just above that, APC appoints Oshomole El-Rufai chair DG presidential campaign. And above the nameplate of This Day this morning, Nigeria's excess crude account shrinks from $35.37 million to $655,000.
The Punch newspaper is leading with ISWAP plots massive attacks on Lagos, Kaduna and others. No immediate solution to aviation sector crisis, that's according to the federal government. And actually, lawmakers want to probe the former President Goodluck Jonathan's administration.
And the Punch newspaper this morning, 2 officers, 6 soldiers killed in attack on presidential guards. Just below that, varsity strike, act fast to avert unrest, Labour tells the federal government. Let's take one more headline above the nameplate of The Nation this morning. Train attack victim, 100 million naira was paid for my freedom. More of that on page 29.
And The Sun says, ASUU strike at Labour grounds Nigeria threatens to stop elections.
Let's take a look at some international papers this morning. The Independent, Lionesses roar into Euros final. Another headline, U-turn for Sunak as he plans to axe VAT on bills. Well, for the press preview, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello, who joins us now from our offsite studio. Emmanuel, good morning. Good to have you. Thanks for joining us. Let's take a look at This Day this morning. 2 captains, 1 soldier in heroic deaths as Guards Brigade on routine patrol is ambushed in Buari. And some of those riders talking about other terrorist attacks in Katsina. Also an alert on the FCT Lagos and 4 other states. Emmanuel Bello, what are your thoughts on these fresh attacks and fresh security alerts across the country?
Well, Nkechi, good morning. Good morning. Well, this is bound to actually deepen the mistrust, our general frustration, our general lack of faith right now in the security architecture of this country. It will erode whatever confidence you have. You ask about my thoughts. I think my thoughts will be exactly what everybody waking up this morning to read this day report, and it's a good thing. Thankfully, that This Day is zeroing on this topic. Some people worry more about the NLC's strike, which is very important too. But it's a good thing that This Day is leading, with this and looking at the issue of elections, of the security, because that's one thing that concerns all of us as a people, and it doesn't get worse than this. You are talking about attack in the nation capital. You are talking about the Brigade of Guards. You are talking about the very last frontier of security for people who have actually seen Abuja as the house of refuge or the place of refuge. This is bound to not only agitate the citizens or residents of Abuja, but also this is the head of the diplomatic community, practically, apart from Lagos. So that is bound to send shockwaves around the world concerning how safe or unsafe this country is. I mean, and I think this kind of bold move, this audacious move by the terrorists, is also a clear-cut warnings that, look, we can get you. Remember that they made some threats last week or in the week about attacking the president himself or kidnapping him. I mean, if they can get this inch closer to the seat of power, that tells you how dire the situation is, and it's a good thing that this day is zeroing on it, because I mean, this is very important. This is red alert. This is something that should put everyone on his toes, and of course, the moment for serious deep introspection by, if you think this was a far-off thing happening in the fringes of places like the Northeast or the Northwest, now this is happening right here in the nation's capital, in places not really very far from even where we're talking. So it's a crisis situation, and it's one that everyone should be worried about. I think this is the kind of report that it's a slap of reality, so to speak. And if the government was thinking otherwise, if the government was trying to be, this is affecting us now. The military itself is affected by this in very dire ways. You two captains dead, and not just anywhere, but right here at the seat of power. So I think this is a very serious report. It's one that should agitate the mind. It's one that should frustrate the mind. It's one that should make us rethink about not just our safety, but even our future.
Emmanuel, it does appear that the government is losing grip on so many sectors: energy, petrol, education, insecurity. What do you think is responsible for this abysmal performance in the last year of the Muhammadu Buhari administration?
Bad leadership. Bad leadership, uncoordinated kind of, a flip-flop in policy by policymakers, a whole lot of things. But at the center of it is bad leadership. The government can push it to the masses and say, look, okay, we need your support, we need you to be good citizens. But at the end of the day, this is a democracy, and it's about leadership. It's about the social contract, the fact that you and I have entered into some form of kind of agreement with the people we voted into power to protect us, to provide the basic amenities of making our lives better. It's just bad leadership and failure at that level. There's no way you can dress it up. There's no way you can, there's no way you can soap over it or even try to give it the best of it. It's just what it is. It is failure. It is bad leadership. It is the fact that we have someone yesterday on the network who was saying that, look, in the past you've had even intelligence reports that are not taken seriously. Before the Kujia attack, was saying yesterday that about 44, signals were sent, intelligence, and that was also not used. So you see, lack of the political will on the part of those who've got the powers to do this. So this is nothing but a referendum on the leadership pattern of President Buhari, who actually ran on the issue of security more than any other thing. Of course, he ran on the economy. He ran on and in every indices that the president ran on, and why he was voted for, the economy, anti-corruption, he's practically failed in everything. So this just kind of is a one straight answer to your question, which is the fact that there's been bad leadership, and probably not just at the top, but at almost probably every other sector where you have some form of administration. It has really failed, and it's time to really think of.
We just lost Emmanuel there. He was talking about how bad leadership has been a contributing factor to all the crises going on in Nigeria. And I was just about to ask him about the Labour Congress protests across the country. Yesterday, we saw them in Abuja, in Lagos, in Abeokuta, in Enugu. And you had the human rights lawyer, Femi Falana, leading the protest in Lagos and also saying this might be another EndSARS uprising if after this solidarity protest, the Nigerian government does not do anything about the ASU strike or does not go ahead to round up the negotiations so that students can go back to the classroom. And he also said the president is tired. And Kenneth, I don't know if you agree with that, because with all this happening in the country, with all the red alerts giving around Abuja, Lagos, Katsina, Zamfara, the president jets out of the country yet again.
Yes, it is interesting that the president is leaving the country to go deliver a speech on security in Liberia. And one wonders, is Nigeria that safe? Have we become experts in that area, in that field, to go lecture the people on how to keep a country safe? So far, Nigerians will tell you that cannot be the case. Nigeria is not as safe as it should be. We have schools closing. We have the law school. There's supposed to be an event at the law school, right?
Yes, the call to ban. They have to
move that event to another venue, which speaks volumes. And the question is, what is going on amidst all these issues? Murders and kidnaps and the jailbreak at the Kuje Correctional Center. We've not heard about anyone resigning. We've not heard the hammer coming down on anyone. We've not heard that anyone's been surcharged or sanctioned.
Just
We've
as
not heard anyone losing
said,
their jobs.
It's bad leadership. Let's quickly take a look at the international papers. The Independent says U-turn for Sunak as he plans to axe VAT on bills. You remember during the debate between Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss, two things that overshadowed the debate. One, the moderator, McCain, fainted on air, and you could see Liz Truss really in shock. And now the Talk TV says she's fine, but medical advisors advise them not to carry on with that debate. And one wonders what might have happened. Exhaustion. I was thinking maybe too much light. I don't know if we have Emmanuel back. Emmanuel, if you can hear me, we're just talking about the debate between Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak and what overshadowed that debate with the moderator fainting on air.
Yeah, well, but the good news is that she's fine after that. But you can see the shock on Truss's face, and when she fainted. I think those kind of accidents do happen from time to time, especially all of us used to this situation, to the working conditions around here. But it didn't take away from what both speakers were saying, especially their views on taxes. And it's going to actually be the changing or what's going to determine the outcome of the back and forth between Rishi now and Truss, what they think about taxes. And with Rishi actually making what looks like a U-turn over his ideas, and he's been chancellor, so he knows all about this, all about the taxes issues and what has been imposed on the British citizenry, making life very difficult for them. So Truss is running on that and saying that, look, she's going to turn back some of these taxes. Of course, people also query the fact that she's been part and parcel of the government that's done this to the British, to Britons, and why she hasn't taken any kind of action in the past. But they can always make the case that they were not the one in charge. Boris Johnson was in charge, and now it's going to be their game to do. And of course, they're going back and forth on the issue of taxes. But those taxes have actually imposed a lot of suffering, a lot of hardship on the people of Britain. And so this is going to be the deciding factor. At the end of the day, it's about these arguments that they are making. And you can see that it's issue-based. It's not just about personality attacks. It's on those issues, especially how to turn around what clearly is looking like a global crisis for the economy, but specifically for how the British people are going through really hard times, mostly because of those taxes that has become part and parcel of this debate.
Well, Emmanuel, we were just saying that Rishi made a complete U-turn, right? He went back on
He definitely did, especially because his arguments on not cutting tax and waiting until inflation is curbed has really been pulling him back. And you see Liz Truss moving forward to the pole position. He even called her policy on tax a fairy tale. So really now exactly. And the insiders from Number 10 Downing Street say this is a policy that Boris Johnson wanted to implement and begged Rishi Sunak to back it, and he refused. So that's a complete 360 that he's doing there, and may not work out for him.
Yeah, especially with the polls now showing that, look, Truss who is actually one of my if you ask me, I will say I'm backing that choice. So he's shooting ahead in the polls, showing clearly with the hope that it might just be her game or an election for her to win.
Well, Emmanuel, let's take a quick look at the Daily Sun. Reps amend CBN Act to stop governor from partisan politics. We do know where this is coming from, don't we, Emmanuel?
Yes, it's part of the the crisis where that's rocked the CBN, especially because the governor Emefiele was there were talks around him. He didn't actually come out himself to say he was going to run, but a lot of people saying that considering what he's done in the economy, what he's done for agriculture, what he's done for small businesses, and actually what he's done for the naira, even though the naira keeps sliding, but efforts by the CBN to do what it can do to stop maybe further slide. Some people say that they think he should be able to, he should go for the presidency. You remember that time, Kenneth? We were always talking about it here. Will he not? His supporters saying that he should, but of course, at the end of the day, he didn't. But of course, that threw up a whole lot of things. That, for instance, election materials are kept at the CBN, and so if you have the CBN governor, for instance, coming out to say he wants to run, that compromises those election materials. So those were the issues. So I think this act now, or the amendment, is to say that, look, if you're holding that kind of sensitive position, you're already practically the president in charge of the economy. You don't have to think of running for the #1 seat. That's enough work on its own. But if you have to, maybe you resign from that position, because it compromises a whole lot of things. The CBN will keep sensitive materials of elections there. But beyond that, it's a very serious job on the part of whoever is the CBN governor to begin to contemplate partisan politics. At the time, those were the arguments around the issue of Emefiele wanting to run or not. A lot of people say, unfortunately, it is for the same reason of his competence, or as his people put it, his competence, that they were now making a case for him that, look, if he can run the economy the way he was running, if he can come up with some of those brilliant ideas around the issue of agriculture in particular, and developing local businesses, looking beyond oil, if he can do all of that, they thought he would be a fantastic president. But a lot of people saying, stick to your job. At the end of the day, that prevailed. He stuck to his job, and he stuck with his job. And now with those amendments, CBN governors will not, even contemplate running for the highest office.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel Bello, for joining us on the press preview.